Howdy folks, and welcome back to Pool School. In today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about pool filters and how to choose the one that is right for your pool. So what do you say we get going? Alrighty, before we get going, I want to thank you once again for watching this video. Remind you to like it if you do, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already, and please share my channel with everyone you know who owns a pool. Also, don't forget to check out my new website, poolschooler.com. It's going to come across the screen right here, poolschooler.com. It's full of more exclusive, members-only content that will help you save even more money servicing your pool yourself. Okay, so as I said, this video is on pool filters and how to choose the one that's right for your pool and your specific needs. Before we go any further, I do want to offer this little disclaimer or caveat. This video is not about pool filter pump combinations for above ground pools. Most of those pools come with a pump filter combination. Usually it's very underpowered and not very efficient, and in which cases I suggest you upgrade. But I will do another video on that someday and address above ground pool pump filter combinations. This one is about in-ground pools, and for whatever reason you might be looking for a new filter to replace one that you had before because it's worn out, or you don't like the one that you have, or you're building a new pool and you want to know what kind of filter to use, and it's hard to filter through all the input information you've gotten from and suggestions you've gotten from so many people. So hopefully this will help clear the air. Lastly, this is very important. I'm going to put a link to a video in the description below this video on DE filters and why you shouldn't have one. It's a video that I did. It's very important to me because I'm not a fan of DE filters, and it's why I'm not even going to suggest DE filters on this video. And one of the reasons is because there's a product that you can put in a sand filter to replace the sand in a sand filter that will allow, that is once in and you never have to replace it again. It filters as small microns as a DE filter. It filters up to 3 to 5 microns in size, which is the smallest particulates you can get down to. And you don't have the risk and health risks of a DE filter and the mess and recharging and all the hassle of a DE filter. So that's why I'm not including DE filters in this mix or in this conversation. So please watch that video on DE filters and why you shouldn't have one, and it'll explain to you why I feel so strongly and why I'm not including DE filters in suggestions anymore. All right, so when it comes to choosing the right filter, there are really two choices. One is a cartridge filter, and that is basically it uses fabric cartridges of different amounts and sizes to filter out, to create a surface area that captures the dirt and the particulates. And then the other one is a sand filter, but again, like I said, a sand filter with a specific type of filter media in it. It is Dr. Dryden's Activate Glass Filter Media. Okay, so those are the two options that you really have. The one sand filter has to be backwashed every about 4 weeks if you're using the Dr. Dryden's. Again, I'm not talking about putting sand in a filter, so if you put sand in your filter, this is not going to be relevant for you. I would suggest the Dr. Dryden's. The cool thing about Dr. Dryden's, when you put it in a sand filter, it's guaranteed for the life of the filter. You never have to change it like sand. You never have to backwash and recharge like DE. You just have to backwash every 4 weeks during the peak season and every 6 to 8 weeks during the off season, and it works as efficiently as a DE filter without all the hassle. So those are the two options for filters. Now the question to really ask yourself is this: do you want to backwash your filter or not? And that's really the big question. Or are you able to backwash your filter or not? Okay, so here's a couple reasons why you might not want to backwash a filter, why you might not want to do that. Let's say you live in an area that has got water is very scarce or water is very expensive. Okay, every time you backwash a filter, you're going to dump a lot of water, hundreds of gallons of water out at a time every time you backwash that filter. And so when you do that and you live in an area there's a lot of drought conditions, or where they're calling drought conditions and they're limiting your water, you might want to reconsider and not have something that you need to backwash. There's also at least one state that I know is trying to pass legislation because of their drought conditions to stop people from buying filters that have to be backwashed. I don't know where it's at with that, but I do know that they've been trying to do that. So that's one of the reasons you might not want to backwash a filter. But if you don't want to backwash a filter, or you don't have a place to backwash it, maybe that's another reason you just don't want to have water just going all over the place, or you live in a small yard that you don't want to dump water all over the place, you might want to consider a cartridge filter. So if you don't want to backwash, a cartridge filter is the way to go. Three of them that I recommend. Pentair makes a really good one. Hayward makes a good one, and so does, I think Pentair makes the Stay Right. It might be Pentair or Hayward that makes the Stay Right filter. And that Stay Right filter has kind of become my new favorite just because the cartridges are a little bit different, and they work really, really good, and they seem to hold up very well. Typically with a cartridge filter though, depending on the amount of use and the amount of dust you have in your area, you typically have to clean your cartridges about every 6 to 8 months. Now, if you have more dust in your area or a lot more vegetation in your area, which is releasing phosphates that you have to kill off with phosphate remover, and that's going to get trapped in the cartridges, you might have to clean your filter a little more often, like maybe every 3 months or maybe 3 to 6 months. Typically, the cartridges need to be replaced around every 3 to 5 years. Obviously, the more you're cleaning the cartridges, the faster they're going to wear out, so maybe 3 years and 5 years at the top. But the good news is you don't have to backwash that filter. So you kind of put it in, you clean it, and you do all that. And I have videos on how to clean those cartridge filters. So if you have a cartridge filter and you have a specific one, email me or make a comment, and I'll shoot you a link to the specific one of those 3 that I did videos on. So the other choice is a sand filter, and that is something that, and again, using the Dr. Dryden's Activate, and I'll put a link to the company that carries that product in the description below this video so you can read up more about it and find a distributor or someone, a store that will sell it in your area. It is really good. It costs a little bit more than sand, about 3 times the cost of regular sand. But given that once you put it in your sand filter, you never have to change it again. Typically when you put sand in a filter, you have to change it about every 3 years. So, and you can change your sand in your filter 3, 4, 5 times, and by the time you do that at $300 to $400 a pop, you've well overpaid and paid more than you would have paid just for the Dr. Dryden's. So I'm talking about a sand filter with the glass filter media, and again, there's a link below this video to show you where you can read up on it and you can get it or find out where to get it from there. But sometimes you need to backwash your filter more often. You've got a lot of dust in your area and you need to clean that filter media more often. Well, that's when you're going to want to go with a sand filter with that Dr. Dryden's Activate. It works great. I never was a fan of sand filters, but ever since I found out about this product, I've become a fan, to the point that if I ever do build a pool in my backyard, which is a pretty big backyard, I will probably put a sand filter in there with a Dr. Dryden's Activate. As much as I used to like cartridge filters, the sand filter with the Activate in it will filter to up to 3 to 5 microns, where a typical cartridge filter at best filters between 12 to 15 microns. So I like the efficiency of the sand filter with that new product in it more than a cartridge filter. And cartridge filter cleaning is a hassle. It really is a hassle. So I'd rather backwash this filter. But again, it's up to you. So I hope that makes a lot of sense. And again, it seems very simplistic, but that really is the key. If you have filter media that you think you're going to have to clean more often and you don't mind backwashing it, then I would suggest a sand filter with the Dr. Dryden's Activate product inside of it. If you don't want to backwash a filter, or for whatever reason you cannot backwash your filter in your area, then a cartridge filter is the way to go. So that's really the 2 choices you have. And as far as the type or brand of sand filter or cartridge filter, there's so many good ones out there. If you just look around, Pentair, Hayward. Pentair makes a Triton sand filter that's fantastic. Hayward makes a good sand filter. I probably wouldn't get one of the cheap ones with a VeriFlow valve on it. I'd get a decent sand filter. There's a lot of good sand filters out there. I think Stay Right makes a sand filter as well. So there's a lot of good sand filters out there. Once you put the Activate in there, you're going to be in good shape. So that's really my short video on pool filters and how to choose the one that's right for you. Remember, the question is this: to backwash or not to backwash? That is the question, with apologies to Shakespeare. Anyway, I hope this video made sense. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below this video, or you can email me directly. My email address is going to come across the bottom of the screen here. It's kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Once again, kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out my membership website, poolschooler.com, and remember to like, subscribe, and share. And until we meet again, I want to thank you for watching and remind you to have fun, be safe, and always watch those kids and elderly folk and pets around water. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.